Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Lazarus, and I am here today showing you Adobe Express. So I'm very excited. We're going to be working with Illustrator, Photoshop, and bringing it all together in Express. So essentially, for today's agenda, we're going to be showing you a full work kit that you can be bringing to build brand guidelines from pretty much scrap, like anything you need to do for a client, or maybe you need to build like a toolkit for them, you can be doing in Express. So there's a couple of things that we'll be doing in Illustrator and Photoshop. I'm going to be doing some gradients. In case you haven't seen it earlier today, Gradients Galore with Voodoo Val was phenomenal. She had 2 gradient shows today. I loved all of them. We're going to be doing gradients as well, but we're going to be doing it in Illustrator and then bringing it into Photoshop. And then we're going to be pulling it all into Express. So hopefully it's a continuation of what you've been doing with Val along, but also check out that stream. She ended it with an achievement system that I think is super awesome. So big shout out to Voodoo Val. It was awesome. All right, so come on over to my screen. In case you are unfamiliar with what Adobe Express is, Adobe Express is pretty much the free, lightweight, like way of getting work out the door. So it's kind of the best of all worlds. You've got video editing, you've got social media templates, you've got all your artboards, you've got sizes, you can build logos, and then you can pull those things and either send them to a client, or you can pull them back down into Illustrator and work within the vectors yourself. So lots of really great things in there. In case you're familiar, check it out. On our homepage here, you can start seeing some of the like default stuff that you'll see on the homepage, where you got some quick actions. So you can remove backgrounds. We'll be working with that today. Resizing images. So if you want to take something that you made for like a social media post, but then you want to make it a flyer, it's super simple. You'll be able to just duplicate your artboard, and then you'll be able to resize it for whatever your needs are. So super powerful, all done inside your browser. So you don't need to download anything. It's free to use, but it is better with Adobe Creative Cloud subscriptions, where you can start using some of the really great stock photos and things. But without further ado, we'll talk into what we're working on today. It's super exciting. So I'm putting myself into the position that many designers are in a typical brief. So you maybe got a PowerPoint deck from a client, no real brand guidelines, no real system built, but maybe just like a couple hints. So for today, what I've started off with is like a color palette, maybe some like visual motif languages where I've got these kind of like stroke weight kind of circles happening. I've got kind of this like, I'm kind of looking at this company as maybe like a tech company. It should feel a little bit dynamic, but it should also work really well for the social and maybe a billboard or a poster or anything we're going to be working on today. And then just like 2 typefaces. We don't really know what they're going to be yet. I'm choosing Avenir and Adobe Caslon Pro. I love the contrast between the serif and sans serif for it. And so I've pulled essentially these colors, but if you wanted to, if you're unfamiliar, I've got my artboards selected on Illustrator, but I can press Command-Shift-H and it will give you the full white version as well. I did it in the gray version so you can see kind of the stroke weight stuff, but if I wanted to, I can also just highlight these pieces, and then I could change the stroke to be black, and you could see that on the white background. So you can kind of see that right there. So very simple, very easy. I see lots of friends in chat. I see Voodoo Val, Cody, CJ. CJ was dropping hot creative yesterday with the copywriting. Let's see what you can do. Two for two. Yeah, so really great stuff. If you are tuning in over on YouTube, though, make sure you come over to be.net/Adobe Live, and you can participate in chat. We can read everything out loud, and we can invite you, answer your questions, whatever you want. Come participate. Comic Papyrus, Annika's asking, that's a great point. We should be dropping in Comic Papyrus. Let me see. I had to wipe my computer the other day. I'm not sure if it's still here, but we need it for the memes. Comic, it's still here. Okay, of course. There we go. Boom, done, easy peasy. Thank you, Annika, for reminding me. Sorry, I've let down chat already, not bringing the Adobe, Comic Papyrus. All right, so let's go back to Command-Shift-H, put it on the gray version. What I've done was I essentially started with this red color palette, this top one, and then I added I had a yellow piece as well, but I didn't think that was enough hierarchy difference for, enough variation for your design system or your brand guidelines that you're building. So what I ended up doing, and this is just one of the ways that you can start developing color palettes, but one of the things that I love to do is kind of build an option blend. So it all goes, go down to object in your Illustrator file, and then click make blend options. Click the blend options, click specified steps, and you can set up as many steps as you want between each level, and that will give you kind of a range. And what I'll do is I'll click OK, and then I'm going to go back to object, I'm going to click blend, and then click make. And what it's going to do is give me 8 specific steps there. So this is a really great way if you want to do like a lenticular version of a gradient. It gives you it very naturally. I'm going to keep this piece for later on. But what I'm going to show you really quickly is now that I've got these color palettes, I kind of have these elements that I can start pulling into things. So what I'm going to do is actually going to delete the black stroke versions right now. And I'm going to build just like go one by one. So I'm going to just copy this square that I have over here. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger just for funsies. And what I'm going to do is going to grab a color piece, just boom, got my square now. And what I'm going to do is click this mesh tool right here. And I'm going to click maybe like 1, 2. Let's just start simple. So now by doing that, I've got these points. So I've got 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points in the top corner, and I can start to change the colors by doing that. So what I'm going to do is just grab my direct selection. So my A button on my keyboard, or you can click individual points. What I can show you really quickly is by clicking that individual point, I can drop in one color palette. So by doing that, it's already going to start to pull the gradient across. It gets a little weird if you focus only on one point sometimes. So what I like to typically do is have a full corner. So I'm going to select these top 3 corner pieces, and I'm going to select that same red again. By doing that, I'm getting some really fun mesh shadings happening. I'm going to start adding in another color palette as well. So probably this orange. I like to try to heat map things sometimes with these gradient warps, which is super helpful. So I might actually just keep the yellow as like very minimal and keep that as kind of like the hottest part of the color palette that we have. So now we've got that. I'm going to change this. I'm actually going to just press A and direct select this one point and pull it up. And what I'm doing there is moving it. And what I can do is rotate and pull out the anchor points, and it will change how the gradient kind of meshes. So right now you have this very like heavy corner. What I want to do is just mess with that anchor point a little bit and make it feel a little bit more natural and organic. This is super fun. You can add in, you know, any colors you want. Maybe there's like more yellows, and see how that feels, or you can do, you know, 3, 4, 15 colors, whatever your heart desires. This is a really great way of getting some like natural gradients to start shaping up through your pieces. I'm going to actually just select this to be red as well. And you can start seeing how that's starting to feel really nice and pretty playful without feeling kind of overt in some of the areas. Boom. So we got that hot piece right there. I'm going to make this also yellow. I tried to avoid having very harsh lines. So let me scroll back through this so you can see it. By me extenuating this, you can sometimes get very, very sharp. You can kind of see it in that middle section. There's kind of this like very sharp line. I try to avoid that for the gradient meshes. It's definitely a thing you can do. You can play it up, but just the way I look at it, All right, so what I'm doing here is cool. So I've got like a gradient. Let's just spin up a bunch of gradients really quickly, and then we'll export them into Photoshop, and then we'll pull them into Express. So I've got one. I can also start adding more gradient meshes to it or change the mesh itself. Ooh, that's fun. Okay, so maybe this needs to be like a brighter yellow there. Maybe I need to start toning down one section and adjust it to be a little bit darker on a red. I want these gradients to feel very just like dynamic. And that's kind of the beauty of working within the gradient system itself, is there's a lot of movement that you can do with it. One of my favorite artists is Felipe Pantone. He does a lot of incredible work in the like kinetic art world where everything he makes feels like it could be moving or is moving in some sort of way. And I think gradients are a really great way of showing that like dynamicism. We got that. That's kind of feeling good. I think it's a little bit too similar to the other ones. I'm just going to put in a little bit more yellow very, very quickly. Cool. That's fun. And I can always just rotate these if I feel like they're a little bit too similar. You can play up some of these pieces as well. Bada bing, bada boom, moving it over. So we've got that. We can do something a little bit more streamlined as well. So if we want, we could add, maybe this is an option for us as well. That's fine. I like having kind of, especially when we're building out kind of a guideline or a social template and things like that, having the option to kind of select between a bunch of different pieces is going to be very helpful for us as we're trying to knock out work. Cool. It's looking fun. Let's see here. We can also do some additional gradient work. Let's see if we can just grab this. What I'll show you is the gradient tool here as well. And I can just click that. Boom, super simple. So I've got radial. I can do a linear, or I can also do freeform as well. So that this is completely different option. What you can do is just select these points and then play with how big you want them to be. So if you click anywhere in here, it will add another point. But essentially, if you click the circles, let me zoom in. So if you click the circles and then you pull this out, it will increase the intensity of the lighting. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to select one of the colors from my color palette. Click. And let me just pull that color piece exactly from it. All right, click in, edit gradient, click the edit gradient, click that. I'm going to add my red. So if I wanted to, I could do one glow coming from one side of it. Edit gradient. I'm going to move this over here and then pull it up. So you can start playing with this as like a light form. What I'm going to do here is just pull that darker red as well. So you can treat this like freeform version kind of more like moving a light bulb around in space. And by doing that, you're changing the way that the shadows and the highlights and everything are kind of working. And so that's kind of just very simple. So if you just move it around, you can see how it's already starting to shift. Let me zoom in again for it. So you can see it's like centering around these like kind of like light bulbs themselves, but it becomes very, very fun. So there's a lot of movement you can do with this. Boom. Then maybe I want just a little bit lighter somewhere, or maybe I want this red to kind of come down here and then just keep this top area a little bit more hot. I don't know. It's kind of, you're open to do kind of anything you want with these gradient tools. And I think it's super fun. It's a great way to like have really interesting work in your portfolio. Let me just increase the intensity of that a little bit. I'm gonna actually lower that a tiny bit because it's a little too heavy-handed. All right, cool. So that's another way. So we're going to make a freeform version, or we're going to make a linear version now. Got this. And we'll do a radial version as well. Cool. Let me click that. I'm going to click linear, and then what I can do here is just kind of play with where it's on the gradient tool itself. And Abul says, is this a point gradient or mesh tool? So this is the gradient, sorry, up here is the gradient mesh tool. And then this is the freeform gradient tool within the gradient tool itself. So lots of different options kind of tackle the same thing, but allows you to kind of have a lot of different ways to build work that feels new and fresh to you. So what you can do is you can play with the values here. You can increase kind of where the cutoff is. You can start seeing how it starts to get a little bit harsher throughout it. So I kind of like it being soft, but I want it to definitely feel more warm. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to also just adjust this to be -90. I think lighting it like you would typically see in the world where it's like lit by like the sun, typically you have shadows down below and not above. So it feels more natural by having the lighter part up top. And so that's why I like it being just very straight up and down. But, you know, once we start working with this in Express, I'll probably play with that a bunch. And let's do a radial blur as well, or radiate. radial gradient. Cool. So this is actually pretty happy with that. I think maybe this piece is a little bit maybe too hot. There we go. Cool. So that took us like no time at all. We have a bunch of different gradients. If we ever want to change it, we absolutely can do that very, very quickly. I think I lost one of my mesh gradient ones real quick. So let me just make another one real quick. Boom. Let me remove just a couple of the points will help make it feel a little bit fresher. Click, get this orange. Cool, so that's feeling pretty good. So what I'm gonna do here, since I like the light leak on the top left, is I'm gonna pull down these whole anchor points. Oop, just kidding, I'm gonna pull this anchor point and this anchor point, pull that down a little bit, and move this in the middle. And I'm just gonna play with the gradient so it feels just a little bit more different than the one we did earlier. Cool. All right, sweet. So we got lots of different options already, which is super helpful. What up, Sean? Welcome to the stream. All right, so let me export all these things real quick. I obviously don't need to export the type because we're going to use that in a second. And what I need to do here really quickly is actually just export all of these like logos. So I made a fake logo. It's obviously just a G in a circle. It's not the most incredible logo I've ever made, but it'll work for today for our fake gradient tech company that will work for us. So I'm going to export artboards 8 through 12 really quickly. Export artboards 8 through 12. And then gradient logo will be the name of that. And I'm just going to export them at 150p. You can do it at 72 if that's what you want. Totally fine. See, just says the Spanish tech company LG. Perfect. Yes, I love it. That's the brand now. It's official. Sean says, I need to check out this Express thing. You absolutely need to. I can't believe you've been here for so many streams, Sean. And you haven't checked it out yet. It's awesome. All right, so we got this. Got the logos going. Let's pull the gradients out now. So we've got artboard 7.3. So all I'm going to do here is click export as. I'm going to just go exports as the name. I'm going to click select use artboards. I'm going to click 7, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. Well, I can actually just go 2 through 7. All right, so those exports will go into that folder as well. What I can quickly do is show you how to make your gradients feel a little bit more natural. One of the things that Val was doing really well in her stream was showing you all these great textures and pieces you can do. What I'm going to do here is quickly just drag and drop into Photoshop. And what I'm going to do is end up just going like filter, add noise. What I do is a little bit of noise helps a long way with making the gradients feel less like a color flood and gives you a little bit more of like that texture to make it feel a little bit more interesting. So something like that. I think 11, let's just say 12% is the number we're going to use for this. And then I'm just going to save it. Cool. So that's saved. Now I'm going to do that to this one. I'm going to do it to all of them really quickly. Add noise. 12%, bada bing, bada boom. One thing you want to make sure though, when you're building these pieces is that you're not constantly trying to blow up the gradient or the noises too far so that it feels inconsistent. I've noticed working with a bunch of designers in the past that oftentimes they might have an image that's noised at a certain level and then they'll add another piece and that will also be at a different level. And then you'll pull it and then it's very, very big. Like you'll have chunky noises in the back. And you don't want chunky noises. You want light, beautiful, consistent noise and graining to each of the pieces you're making. So just be consistent with those things. It'll make your design work feel a lot more consistent as you're working on it. Chunky Noises, it's my new band name. All right, let's go here. Filter, noise, add noise. Boom. All right, we're almost there. Cool. So now I'm going to save this. Now we're pretty much done. So super simple. Alrighty. All right, saving 99%. All right, we're good. Now we're going to go straight into Express. So I'm going to let chat decide what do you guys want to work on today. I'm going to start with the social piece. We can move into posters or flyers, whatever your heart desires. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the brands panel. So in case you are unfamiliar with Adobe Express, the brands panel is one of my favorite tools for streamlining your creative process and getting your clients onboarded. So great thing about Express is you can share your files with people. So maybe you're done working with your client and you're handing off things, or maybe you're, the client's wanting social media templates to get done a lot quicker or whatever, or they want to edit them themselves. So you can use Express to hand over those files and allow the client to get that work out the door without necessarily having to bother you if that's kind of a blocker for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to add your brand. So I'm going to click logo. And what I'm going to do is go up to my drive file. I'm going to click my gradients folder, and then I'm going to just click the black logo to start. And that'll be your default logo to start, and that's totally fine. I'm going to grab this red that I have as well. So grab that red, boom, boom, boom. Pick my color. I'm going to drop it in there, save, and then I choose my fonts. So I chose 2 fonts that were in the Adobe library already, but you can also add your own. So if you need to, you can custom upload your own fonts, which is awesome, especially if you're working, with an established brand that already owns their typeface or things like that. It's just going to make your life so much easier for you. So let's go into, I've got Caslon Pros, one of the typefaces I have. So I'm just going to pull that in there and click next. Super simple. What are we calling this? LG gradient. Thank you, CJ, for the name. Easy peasy. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to add additional logos here. So it's always great to have, your primary logo, but sometimes you need additional colorways or values, and that's going to be super helpful. So what we're going to do is actually just upload the full suite of colors that we've already done. We'll just do it one at a time. Got the white version. And then I'm going to add in the red version. I'm going to drop in the orange version. And then the yellow version. So now we have a full suite of logos that we have options for. All right, now we click, boom. So now I've got options, I've got colors. Let me add more colors really quickly. Let me find it. All right, so I got this yellow as well. Grab the yellow, boom. And then I'm going to add the orange in. All right, so I got the orange. Boom. Does anybody know what you rhyme orange with? Very important questions. All right, headline. I think I'm going to keep Avenir as I think Avenir is on here. Avenir. I could add my own font as well. Add my font. See if Avenir will pull up really quickly. Yeah, I'll deal with that later. But anyways, so you compare it. I'll just use something similar for right now, and then we're going to adjust over time. So my body will be like Lotto. So we'll save. All right, so by doing this, now you've got your full brand set up. Now we can go into this, which is super, super powerful. All right, so let's go into projects. What I've done is I've completely tidied up my workspace from yesterday. I got very embarrassed showing all the previous pieces. So here's Soulmates. Yesterday we were working on summer camp. We did all these great little pieces within that space. It's awesome. But now we've got our bucket. So we've got our folders up here. You can add a folder by clicking this button up here on the top right. We're going to go straight into gradients. Oops, I forgot something. All right, so one of the things that you always have to remember to do when you're working within Express is to set the brand that you're working on as default. By doing that, it will pull in those pieces, your type, your color, all that stuff. If you forget to do it and you start making a project, you'll have to come back and change it. So glad we caught that before we started. I'm going to click gradients, and now I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to click an Instagram post. I love working with like just a one-by-one piece to start. You can obviously start using templates. It's super easy to work within that space. I'll show you just quickly how we could leverage one. So if we loved this kind of like piece and we were like, okay, this is awesome, but it doesn't feel on brand for us. Well, good news is you click the magic design button, then you click apply brand, and it will start pulling some of the things from your brand together. You can click it again, I think, and that should change it as well, shuffle it. So it starts to cycle through things that should feel on brand for you. But as we kind of already mentioned, our brand heavily revolves around gradients and these noisy pieces. So what I can do here is actually click upload photo, and I'm going to just find one that I think feels right for this, like Valentine's Day piece. And then I'm going to apply it. So I'm going to pull it in. Voodoo Val says, you can rhyme orange with anything, really. It's just that none of them are words. That's amazing. Thank you. That's awesome. Voodoo Val also says, these gradients remind me of peach rings. Now I'm hungry. That's so funny. Yeah, snack up. Hope you guys brought snacks. Little earthworms even with the gradients on them. All right, so the image did not upload. Let me upload it again. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. So now it's here in the background. What I'm going to do is just try to keep it just one-to-one to the shape of the backdrop. And I'm going to go into the layers panel, and I'm going to pull down the layer to make it the background element. I can also just upload the image straight to the background. So I have these like hearts that we've started with in this thing, which is super fun. But maybe I want to, maybe I want to change the opacity to be like multiply, so you get a little bit of that noise. So I think that's actually really lovely. So I'm going to make sure that all of them are on multiply. Multiply, and it brings that noise in really, really nicely. Boom. It's already changed this to Caslon Pro. That's great. I don't like how R was just hanging on that sentence. So I'm just adjusting that really quickly. I also think that for legibility's sake, I'm going to just add white to it. Don't forget that you are loved. It's kind of cute. I don't love the pink. Let me see if I can adjust that really quickly. Loved. Love has a shadow on it. So we can turn off the shadow, or we can change the shadow color. What I'm going to do is actually just like change that to be yellow. It's less of a different brand in there. Google says blonge, which is mountains and whales. Huh. I love chat. Chat's so helpful with finding things that will rhyme with orange. Thank you. All right, so what I'm going to look here is I'm going to actually change this, make it more on brand. Sometimes pulls these like tints and shades, and those are great and fun sometimes, but sometimes you want a little bit more vibrance to it. So actually, that's kind of nice. I'm going to play with the spacing on it. Boom. Cool. So it's like a very simple way of getting your brand out there. already using a template. If you wanted to, you can adjust these things. Super, super simple. So this is already using Caslon Pro as well. Let me see if I can change it to. I think we might just keep it Caslon Pro. We can always change it if we wanted to. Using this panel over here, we can add drop shadows, all those things. So without further ado, we can jump into the next one. Let's get, okay. Now I'm getting like all crazy designery with it. So now it's needs to be centered. So I need to center this. I'm just gonna, it's gonna bother me if I don't have it centered. So sorry, we're gonna take 2 seconds to fix this. Cool. Now it's, now it's much more therapeutic. All right, cool. So what I did there is just dragged it. So now I can play with the space, the line heights between the two. Perfection. All right, ship it. Perfect. Done. I'm going to say Valentine's. So what you can do now with this, if you wanted to, is if you want to like your home page, once you've saved this piece, you can go to your schedule button and start lining it up to be scheduled for Valentine's Day. I know it's May 24th as of this stream. We are a little bit ahead of it, but if you wanted to start scheduling your Valentine's Day post, you absolutely could start doing that. So that's super duper duper helpful. And all the social media people that you'd be working with, whether you're a graphic designer doing that or a social media person working in design, it's going to take a huge load off of everybody's plate. So very, very, very helpful. Video says, love the schedule feature. Yeah, it's awesome. It's amazing. All right, let's go back into our projects. Let's go back to gradient. We're going to start messing with some shapes. So I've got home. Oops, sorry, projects. I'm going to make another like Instagram post. Easy peasy. All right. So instead of using a template this time, we're going to use our own thing. So we're going to use the image that we built earlier. So I'm going to do upload. And what we can do in this space is this could be fun. Let's try it live. All right. So we're going to use this image. We'll see if I can make something interesting with just like reversing the gradient. So what I'm going to do is click into this. What I'm going to do is now click duplicate up here on the top right. Boom, duplicate, center it again, and then I'm going to rotate it by moving it up and flipping it. And I see if I can make something interesting by clicking crop. So with the crop feature, I can crop any image, and I've got these kind of default shapes that I can play with. And if I wanted to, they can be anything. I can have a star, hearts, octagons, triangles, you name it, it's there for you. So if you wanted to, you could do something really fun with like kind of contrasting it by doing something like this. It's kind of fun actually. Hold on. Let's see here. Did I have the wrong size on both? No, okay. This one's just a little bit bigger. Kind of fun. You can also play with how you want to set it up. So you can do that. I can also crop it. Maybe I'll do a different image. There's a lot of like, it's kind of fun actually. All right, so what we'll do is now we can throw in a photo. People working. Maybe this is like an appreciation post or something like that. I wonder if this is going to be too busy of a photo. Let's see. I'm going to remove background. Might not work with the plant in the front. It is close, but it's not close enough. What I'm going to end up doing is just backing out of this mode. I'm going to find another person with a more simple background. Person. All right. I'm going to grab this guy and click remove background. So what it does really nicely is it pulls them out without needing to get really crazy with it. You can obviously change your brush size and you can start messing with, actually editing it yourself. But I find that the automatic cutout is typically pretty strong option what I'm going to do is change the background to make it a little bit less. Actually, I think it's fine. So what we can do is we can play with, size and spacing as well. But I think because the colors and the gradient and the noise, it allows him to kind of seamlessly kind of feel cut out well enough. You can also go in here and click in the filter section and duotone it. We can go that. That's always a great way of making your images feel a little bit more consistent and on brand, but I don't really think he needs it. There might be another piece down the line that we might want that actually in there. Sean says Photoshop Express at work. Absolutely. Look how easy that was, not having to deal with it. Super simple. Cody says, I love how the mid. Wow, words are so hard on a Tuesday. Who would have thought? It's Cody says, I love how it meets in the middle with the orange. Yeah, I think that's super cool. And I like that the spacing is pretty consistent throughout it. So I think with this brand, it's so much fun to be able to play with the shapes and patterns and geometry and all that stuff. We also have the option of like not using this image at this stage. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Let's keep this a little bit more, let's remove the image right now and keep it a little bit more vector based right now, just to start. So we'll keep this like very like branded for the business almost. So we can either just by default have it in the corner, we can place it in the middle. There might be an opportunity to like make it as big as possible if we want. It's kind of like, could be a fun piece to put out there. We're gonna go shapes and we're gonna click basic shapes. You can grab the circles feature. What this will do is it'll give you the option of having a fill and a border. Awesome stuff. So it also gives you the option for stroke widths. So instead of having to do what we did earlier, where we have these great like oval shapes that we can build in Illustrator, we can just start working with them inside of Express. You have the option, you can adjust the strokes, the thickness itself, and then whenever you're done with these images, you just download them as a PDF and then pull them in Illustrator if you needed to. So it's super helpful. We're actually just gonna remove the fill and I'm gonna change the border to be white. And I'm gonna adjust that border down. So now I can start to pull this together and make it much bigger and just center it in the top and bottom. Cool. So I've got that. Now what I can start doing if I wanted to is like I could duplicate this and I could just switch it. So turn off the border, I'll turn on fill, and then I'll shrink it down. I can make it kind of these like atomic pieces. Since we don't really know what gradient does except for rhymes with orange. Just kidding, I know it doesn't rhyme with orange, but it's a made up brand. We can say whatever. All right, I'm gonna just center that, make it feel very considered, get very atomic with it. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is just align, make sure everything is perfectly centered with each other. All right, and boom. So by doing that, cool. We've got a little like gradient piece we can go to market with. I'm going to say atomic logo. So maybe this is like one of the logo announces for this beautiful rebrand we're doing. What we can do now is just let's make another one. I'm just going to move this into the gradient folder. Cool, like that, and then click new, and then another Instagram post. All right, let's upload an image. Cool, so this one, I think this is the one that I want to start working on where it feels like it's like an employee highlight piece. So it just says, one Adam said to another, I think I've lost an electron. The other said, are you sure? The first reply is, I'm positive. Thank you, CJ. Thank you. 10 out of 10. Amazing. All right, so we're gonna pull that photo again. Earlier, where it said person. Do the whole kit and caboodle over again really quickly. Remove background. It's gonna do it really wonderfully by default. Boom. Done. So one of the things that I like to do when we have these like really kind of contrasty things, we could obviously leave him just how he is. I think that's totally fine. But I kind of want to just duotone him and just make him feel more part of like the company. I think that's really important. So actually that default one was pretty nice. Let me see if I can adjust the contrast as well. So you have these enhancements. Adjusting contrast can also help sometimes clean up the lines and the brightness that you're seeing throughout. I'm going to pull in the brightness there. I think having it up is much better. Cool. By doing that, we're kind of like making him feel like part of the business ecosystem or whatever. I'm going to start pulling in like basic shapes, like a line here. That's a rectangle. Let's see if I can find a line in basic shapes. Line. Okay, maybe that was the correct one. Sweet, so that's thickness. All right, let me adjust the lighting or the color of it. I'm going to center this and then I'm going to duplicate. And then whoop, center. Cool. Duplicate. And why is it not? Duplicate. Please duplicate. All right, it's not duplicating there. So we're just going to pull in another shape. Line. Aha. Okay. Let me just make sure that it's the same width. This line got changed colors. Oh, and I'm going to just lower that thickness down. I'm going to change this to 2. Aye, aye, aye. All right. Now I'm going to try to duplicate again. Let's see if we can do it. Duplicate. It duplicated. Perfect. All right. So now we're going to pull this up top. I'm going to align them centered. We're off to a good start. Can it center? Let me group it. Grouping it will allow me to move it around a lot easier. And snap to middle. Cool. All right. And now we can add our text. We have options on the side. On the left side will help as well. If you want, you can always just play with that to start, but I don't need that right now because we know what we're doing. I'm just going to name it employee of the month and do like Adobe. Oop. I'm going to change this color, make it actually white. Okay. And then I'm going to adjust the line height, line spacing over here as well. And then I'm going to adjust the type size as well. I like to do these in a way that like feels just kind of like on the edge. So I'm going to ungroup this. And then I'm going to adjust that piece, but let me just duplicate the employee of the month part first. And I'm going to say employee of the month is CJ due to CJ's contributions to chat the last 2 days. What? No. Hello? I'm not having luck today. Let me redo everything we just did really quickly. cool. Employee of the month, that goes there. Then I'm going to duplicate it again. And I'm going to spell CJ, not just CJ. I'm going to put more letters just to make it feel more special. Boom. Yep, CJ, the winner is you. As Val said in chat, we're about 10 minutes out from the end of the stream. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer. Let me ungroup this. Boom, pow. Now I'm going to move this over. And adjust that there. So boom, CJ, employee of the month. Let's go. You want it with the C? Okay, I'll do C. CJ. There, perfect. Vaso is not to be confused with the rare CJ, the design bird with big eyes. True. Never want to get those confused. All right, cool. So we have about 10 minutes left. Let's roll through like making a post really quickly. I think that's probably the best next step we can do. We've already knocked out some social stuff, so that's super rad. Let's just get with it. Let's grab the, so we haven't used one of these really funky ones yet. So let's see if we can find an opportunity for it. I think we'll probably go with a little bit simpler version. And cool, so we'll do this. What we can do with this piece now is we can start making like a Venn diagram of sorts. So what we'll do is go back to exactly what we just did with like the simple basic shapes. I'm gonna grab this circle piece. Oh, pretty close already. That's cool. Thank you. All right, fill, no fill. We're gonna do border to make it white. And we're gonna do like 1% thickness or one stroke. All right, so we've got this cool circle. If we need to thicken it, we can. We duplicate it and center it on it. And then just drag it down. What do we want in this Venn diagram, chat? What do you think? Cody says it looks like a melted popsicle. That's so funny. Melted popsicles are definitely a vibe. Let's throw this in here. What do you want in the Venn diagram, chat? Let me know. We'll incorporate it. So just add. Caslon. Cool. So just a top circle, people who have 6 streams. Oh, that's funny. Oh, okay. I'll do what Cody wants. People who make 6 gradients. Boom, pow. Where, like, what is, I don't know what my computer's doing today. Let's grab that again. Just expand it out. And then we're going to duplicate it. And whoa. Whoa. All right, go in there and then paste it. People who have 6 streams. Maybe I'll take that off, just like. And then we'll make the middle one Adobe Live. Boom, look at that, beautiful. Now it should be, I can't believe I'm saying this, Comic Sans bottom, Papyrus middle. That's brilliant. All right, we got time, I think. All right, let me actually just duplicate this. Comic. I love this. Hidu says working when people are talking must be stressful. Nah, it's chill. It's chill. It's a good time. Chat always makes me a better designer, so it's easy peasy. I mean, like, look at those great references. Like, I can't believe Val is even agreeing to doing this right now. So, let's see if this will work. I'm trying to find Comic Papyrus really quickly. I don't think it's gonna work that easily. Oh no, I'm so sad if I won't be able to do this. Hold on. Oh no, it's not helping. Comic Papyrus. No, I don't think my computer will find it. Sorry. All right, well, just do it without actually using Comic Papyrus in there. So yes, I'll just do. All right, Comic Sans bottom, top Comic Sans, okay. Actually, hold on, I can do it, I believe. All right, another way, one of the greatest things we can do, Comic Papyrus. I'm gonna change that to white. We can use our creative libraries in case we don't have the typeface working. Comic Sans, bold, obviously. And what was the middle one? Papyrus. Oh yeah, Papyrus. Okay, that's what I need. Papyrus. All right, sick. This is run. Thank you, Val. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're actually going to just go in here, create libraries. All right, now I have Summer Camp up since that's what we were working on yesterday. I'm going to call this gradient. I'm going to click as a graphic, Papyrus. All right, I'm not going to label all the files. If you want properly labeled files, there's plenty of streamers who are really good at keeping their stuff organized. Okay, I'm going to do it. All right. So hard to do this in a rush. All right, one more. We got this. We're almost there, chat. All right, Comic Papyrus. Oh, you know what I did wrong? That's Comic Sans. All right. Boom, graphic. Boom, Comic Papyrus. All right, we're good. All right, what I'm going to do, go back to that page. What I'm going to do is change this, delete this, delete this, delete this. I'm going to reload my Express really quickly. I won't do this, does it? Yep, that's me. All right, delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that. All right, we got like 2 minutes. All right, go to libraries, click gradient. And then what I'm going to do is grab Comic Sans. Boom. I'm going to grab Papyrus. Boom. Speaking about Papyrus, who's excited for Avatar 2? All right, and Comic Papyrus. The perfect Venn diagram. This is what peak creativity looks like. So I'm so happy that we were able to get that done. Oh, thank you so much, Val. I appreciate this. CJ's asking shirt release when? Oh man, we got to make some hot drops. Let's see here. I think this needs to be a little bit thicker just to make the, this is just amazing. So thank you so much for the suggestion. I'm so happy that we've made a Comic Papyrus thing. I did not think we were going to do it today. This has just brought me so much life. But really quickly, we have 2 minutes, so watch this. All right, so we got comic propaganda as this piece. What we can do now is click duplicate. And so if that was great and you love that as a flyer or as a poster, what you can do really, really quickly within like a whole minute is click resize. Oh, duplicate quicker, duplicate quicker. We got this. All right, we're gonna click resize, and we have the option to choose through all the different types of pieces, maybe a social piece, anything like that. What we're gonna do is click square, and it's gonna default just change the resolution for us just slightly. And I'm gonna move everything except for the background. I'm gonna align it, I'm gonna group it, and then boom, pow, centered, ship it. That's a social piece. Boom, pow, biggity bomb, done. Oh, so good. So we did awesome. I'm so proud of us. Good job, chat. Thank you so much for a wonderful day. I hope this was super helpful for you taking, desperate brand pieces or making a brand guideline within Adobe Express. I think that this is a super, super powerful tool that you can use both as a designer and also handing it off to your clients. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see y'all shortly. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.